Good Sarah!
What made you choose Twilight Moms over all the other fan sites out there?
Well, after going to the movie on a Friday night, I ran out and bought the Twilight book. I started reading it Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday came around and I had to go back to work. So I started surfing the internet on my breaks, of course. First, I was just looking for information on the actors, and I found interviews, one from Rob and one from Taylor, both of them mentioning the Twilight Moms and how they stood out in the rain and cold. One of the Twilight Moms actually handed her baby to Nikki Reed to take photos with, and she has one with Rob ready to bite the baby. Anyway, I clicked on the link for Twilight Moms and read the membership requirements. One, you must be age 21 or older, you must be married or a parent. I'm all of the above, so I joined right away. I also love the promise of no cold mumbo jumbo. Don't get me wrong, we have our versions like Hotties in a Jar and OME. Let me just give you a couple examples of some of the posts that I check every day. You know you're obsessed. You know you're obsessed when while driving home from the gym tonight in the wooded area, I found myself looking through the trees for Edward's face. You know you're obsessed when you're in a meeting and you get caught daydreaming, and when your boss asks where you just where you say forks. You know you're obsessed when your parents get a whole set of garden dwarves and you proceed to name them after all the Collins because they have golden eyes. And you're looking into getting glitter to put sparkle on them for sunny days. You know you're obsessed when you have your own brick on the Twilight Walk of Fame at the Viewpoint Inn where they film the prom scene and you may never get to see it. An embarrassing moment. While driving home from work, I was cut off by a hot guy in a Volvo. I shouted, "Stupid shiny Volvo owner." I forgot my window was down, so was his, and he shouted back, and my name's not Edward either.
Next, we'll hear from Ness. What does Twilight mean to you as a book you can share with your children or students?
Okay, on the site, we hear lots of stories about moms being able to connect with their daughters and their wonderful stories. And my connection was actually kind of by accident. I was reading Twilight and I actually plowed through the first book in 3 hours. I just could not put it down. And my son came up, and at the time he was 7, he's like, "Mom, what you read?" And I said, "Oh, it's a book about vampires and werewolves." He's like, "Read it to me." And I'm like, "I don't know, it's got a lot of love and stuff in it. You know, you're 7, you're what, you know." And he persisted. He asked me, he's like, "Oh, there's got to be something in there for me." And so I read him the part where Edward saved Bella, and the part about the baseball scene, which is his absolute favorite scene, and then the fight scene. And I, of course, filled it in and kind of gave him the Cliff Notes version of everything so he'd know the story. And in doing so, we talked a lot about, you know, what it means to be a family, how important friendship is, and those kinds of things. So even though he's not old enough to really talk about the romantic love that's a big part of the book that we all love, there's been discussions that we've had that are just amazing. And then the other thing that came up was I started writing fan fiction. And so my son, Theo, asked me, "So what's going on in your stories?" And we connect that way. And it's just been a really wonderful experience.
Thank you.
And the next question is for our moderator, Tammy. Have you had any brushes with greatness? For instance, actors or Stephanie?
I was going to talk about when I first got this question, and I had it all scripted out to say, but I totally had to change it. First, I was going to tell you how I kind of sort of almost met Robert Pattinson at the Hot Topic cast tour that they had back in November. But I've run into Peter Facinelli a few times this weekend. Just like at about noon today in an elevator with Eddie, and I was just there by myself, and that was pretty overwhelming. Anyway, but it kind of all started yesterday when during my photo op I asked Peter if I could have a hug. He gave me a hug, and I was just totally blown away, and gave him a pair of earrings that I made to give to his wife, and he was like totally grateful. So I thought this guy's really cool. And then last night I was trying to upload all the pictures that I had taken yesterday, some odd 200 and something pictures, and Photoshop was taking forever to load all the pictures, and I look over and I see a couple of these gals there, and I look across the lobby and I see Peter. oh, I wonder if I should go talk to him. And then I ended up getting a picture with him in the hallway, and then earlier today when I was in the elevator with him, so I thought that was pretty cool. So I am probably only 90% Team Edward now, and probably 10% Team Carl now.
You know, he must just be riding up and down the elevator because I keep hearing people say, I ran into him in the elevator and I hugged him.
There's a lot to do.
Next, we're going to hear from Jen. Jen, how has being a part of the Twilight fandom changed your life?
For me, it's been mostly just meeting a bunch of cool people that I can share my obsession with. When I first started reading the series right before the movie came out, I was hooked. I mean, I read the books within 2 weeks. I saw the movie like 5 times by myself. And being a 35-year-old mom of 2, I felt like work. And the only person I could connect with was my 15-year-old babysitter. So, just through meeting other people, especially the Twilight moms and some people on Facebook, just being able to talk to them about the books and the movie and how much I love Robert Pattinson, and he doesn't know, but he's my second husband. And it's just cool. I mean, because my husband looks at me like I'm crazy, you know, and when I first started reading the books and everything, I really felt lonely because I actually went to the one of the conventions in Chicago in February and went by myself. And it's just nice to have other people that understand, you know, the whole craziness of Twilight and why it's, I mean, why it's so important. I mean, I can't explain why it's changed my life, but reading those 4 books during the winter, you know, when you kind of get the winter blahs, and I don't know, reading my Twilight books is just a way to escape, so, amen.
Thanks. Next, we'll hear from Julia. How has being a part of Twilight Moms changed your life?
Well, kind of like you, it's kind of hard to say exactly how it's changed my life, but let me start my answer with this, if I may. Definition, Robert Pattinson, noun. A creature so beautiful it is making women in their 30s finally understand what it means to be in their prime. Well, I'll admit for me that, well, that definition probably fits better for Peter Fasinelli. If you were here yesterday, you kind of know what I mean about that. And Tammy and I are having a great day up here right now. I think I'm sitting in Peter's chair right now.
It's this one.
I don't know how she knows that, but we'll strike a little Peter pose here. Back to the topic at hand. I spend my fair share of time in the 30s Moms chat thread. That's actually where that definition came from, including Fangover. That's pretty much how I felt this morning after all of our little brushes with stardom. I did join TMs back in April. I'm now at about 760 posts. I haven't made that Topaz 1,000 post mark yet, but I'm getting close. That's a lot of chatting in 3 months, isn't it? Ask my fiance, he'd say that's a lot of chatting. Luckily, he doesn't, you know, he'll sit on the other end of the couch, kind of giggle at me, play with his airsoft stuff. It's all good. In other words, my daughter, who's 6 years old, and my fiance, they don't suffer for it. There's a little bit of spice that comes to your life when you join the Twilight Moms. You realize that, you know what, there's others out there like you, and it's okay to be a little sassy. It's okay to go out on the town. It's okay to daydream. But not only do we share the saga, we share all that's important in life. The ups and the downs, the silly and the sad. Oh, by the way, we also share fan fiction. We were talking a little bit about that last night. Makes things just a little bit hot. But, you know, if you ever find ways to test a relationship, you can do like Peter and his wife do. You can